The Matrix Resurrections was directed by Lana Wachowski and stars Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Ann Moss, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Jonathan Groff, Jessica Henwick, Neil Patrick Harris, and a bunch of others. And we return to a world of two realities, one everyday life, the other what lies behind it. To find out if his reality is a construct, to truly know himself, Mr. Anderson will have to choose to follow the white rabbit once more. Matrix Resurrections, or I'm just going to call it Matrix 4, is a return to the world built by the Wachowskis and to basically one of the most iconic films and franchises ever created. It blew minds when it first came out. It had people discussing all the depths and craziness of all the philosophies that came with it, and it had a huge impact on the way action sci-fi films going forward, action films on the whole going forward, were treated. So of course, in this world that we live in now, where every single thing has to be retread in some fashion, we go back to the world of Matrix. And I don't know about you, but for me, this didn't work. But before we get into that, I always like to start with the positives, and so I want to talk about this stuff here that I liked, that I enjoyed. And for the most part, I enjoyed, again, seeing Keanu Reeves as Mr. Anderson, aka Neo, and having actors like Carrie-Ann Moss return to the role. I felt like Keanu gave us a nice balance of somebody who had been beaten down, because this is a person, and I'm going to get into mild spoilers here, guys. I just have to. This is a man who has been rebuilt from the ground up, so to speak, as actually, literally. And he's been programmed how to think by his psychiatrist, who he calls the analyst, played by Neil Patrick Harris. So while he doesn't feel like everything in his world is great or anything like that, even though he's really successful, he's a game designer, he made the greatest game of all time, The Matrix. See where we're going with this, right? And of course, he begins to question, is the things that he's seeing or remembering delusions? Is he mixing up? Did he put so much work and effort and passion into his game that he's thinking that's reality? Of course, we know the truth. And as the film expands on that, some of that stuff, I think, works. It could have worked better, but it works, And like I said, seeing Keanu, there is a world weariness to him, or maybe he's just bored. I don't know. He doesn't really seem to bring that passion that he had the first time around, but I chose to see it as him looking at the character as somebody who is older and he's lost a lot, and that loss is deep within him. So it shows in the way he talks to people, in the way he acts, and so forth. Of course, we have Carrie-Ann Moss here back as Trinity, and their love story, who some people I know never was on board with. I remember watching this in cinema and having people groan out loud every time these two had any bit of romantic interactions. And I actually love the romance. I love the fact that a lot of this is built on his story is built on the fact that his love for Trinity made him think differently and act differently. I like that, but some people didn't. It was great to see the two back at it again, but I didn't feel that chemistry. At least it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a romantic chemistry. It felt very much like two old friends who had found each other again. So the fact that a lot of this story is built around Trinity, right? I don't know how people feel about that, but a lot of the story is built around the strength and the importance of Trinity. Having that lack of chemistry, that lack of romantic chemistry, for me, made everything else fall flat. Speaking of acting, we also have the introduction of some new characters here. Like I said, Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Morpheus. We also have Jessica Henwick as Bugs. Yeah, Bugs as in Bugs Bunny, and we have Jonathan Groff as the new Agent Smith. Of the three, I liked Jonathan Groff the most. I felt like he took what Hugo Weaving did and he put his own spin on it, and I actually found his character the most intriguing of the bunch. Yaya's version of Morpheus, it felt like, I don't know, it's like broken programming. That's the best way I could put it. I know he's supposed to be, from what he said, he's an amalgamation of a bit of Smith and a bit of Morpheus, but why does that make you dress like a pimp? I don't know. There's something very off about the way that character is. I am not sure why, but he only worked for me when he was in that whole computer, that form he would take outside the Matrix. That's when I liked him best. And Bugs. Now, I like this character. I do. And I feel like maybe if they had moved forward with Matrix, maybe focusing on yes, we're gonna need Neo. That goes, that goes without saying. But it would have been nice to see them take Bugs and maybe think of that character as a character to move forward with as the new hero, so to speak. And there's a little bit of that here, but they seem like they don't know what they want to do with her. And it's not Jessica's fault in any way. I think she does a great job with the character. I just feel like she goes from, like, they're trying to put her at the center of it all in 1 minute, and the next she's sidelined because Neo is supposed to be the savior. And it's like they didn't know what to do with the character as well as the other characters. And this is something, I mean, Matrix has always struggled with. Outside of the main trio of heroes, most of the side characters were thinly written, so this is not something new. But it would have been nice. I think she's a wonderful actress and I think she can handle it. And it would have been nice if maybe they did more with that character going forward, or in the film and going forward. That said, the acting was fine. I mean, Jonathan Groff seemed to be the one having the most fun with the role. And even Neil Patrick Harris seemed to be enjoying himself as a villainous character, but nobody really leaves that much of an impact. Of all of them, I kept thinking, I want to see more of Agent Smith, which is weird. So, yeah. So, guys, you're going to notice I'm going to be doing a lot of juggling here with the good and the bad. Good, the visuals. I really like the look outside of the world. The world itself felt bland to me. It's weird because in the not original, sorry, but the earlier Matrix films, when they were in the Matrix, there was an energy to that world. There was something there, even though we know it's not real, we know it's, a product, whatever. But there was something about that world that was appealing on a visual level, and it did, pull me in, as well as the world outside of the Matrix. Here, I found myself really only paying attention when they were outside of the Matrix. The action sequences is retread ground. I know it was always going to be difficult for them to one-up that whole bullet time thing, so they try to put a new spin on it. It's okay, it's fine, but there's nothing mind-blowing here. And I think this is where this film suffers as a whole, but I'll get back to that. I did, like I said, visually, I like the look outside the Matrix. I do like that whole thing where the computers would take on a form using whatever, blah, 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 technology. But this is how we have Morpheus in this, played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen. He would take on this form so he could exist in a physical way outside of the Matrix. I like that. I thought that was cool. But inside the Matrix itself, I don't know, everything just felt hollow. Everything felt quite blah. I just could not connect. I'm trying to think of any scenes inside the Matrix that I thought was cool. And I mean, visually, the location of the fight scene between Morpheus and Neo, again, retread ground. It looked cool, but you wouldn't believe my mind kept going to Justice League, Zack Snyder's Justice League, for that entire location. I could not stop seeing Bruce Wayne's house, and when he met Martian Manhunter in the end, I just kept seeing it. I couldn't help it. So, yeah, nothing felt original, nothing felt compelling to look at. And then we have the story. And this is the biggest blunder here, I feel. Now, this for me was like Icarus trying to fly too close to the sun. You go meta with something. You act like, yeah, it's real and it exists within the world, just like we are aware of the Matrix is a movie, they're aware the Matrix is a video game. That stuff can work if it doesn't come across like you're being lazy, like you're trying to exploit the fact that within our real world, people analyze the Matrix and adore it and try to figure out if maybe this stuff is actually real on some level. Whatever you might think, they're trying to tap into that. And this is where this movie lost me. I wish they had just given us a straightforward continuation after the events of Matrix 3. Yes, this continues. Yes, it does build on what happened to Neo after, and we get to see certain things with certain characters. But so much of this feels like you're turning and winking and nodding to the audience. You're wasting so much damn time with that, and then on one hand you're commending your audience members or your fans for liking this. Then on the other hand, you have characters who are giving lines of dialogue that's saying, oh, it's just a game. People are so stupid for believing anything else. It was just meant to be entertainment. So let me guess, you're kicking your fans and then hugging them the next minute. I don't get that. Why are you doing that? Pick a lane. This is the problem with this film. This film is so focused on trying to be smarter than it needs to be that we're just left with this hollow, very singular vision of what the Matrix is. This is just Lana Wachowski's vision. It doesn't really care what we the fans wanted, what we the fans needed continuing forward. So instead of us getting a really, original, but not original, but an energetic continuation of this could have been so damn good if we had just focused on taking these characters and continuing their journey and giving us that energy and that action that we've come to love from this. Who cares if there's anything, what should I say here? Anything special effects that is new here? Who cares if you have to use bullet time again? Make it look, put it in a really well choreographed scene and we'll still love it. You don't need to come up with all these brand new ideas, and at the same time you're holding on so hard to the nostalgia. You're calling it being meta, but let's call it what it is. You're trying to tap into the nostalgia. The new Star Wars trilogy did the same nonsense and we ended up with a mess, right? Instead of focusing so hard on what the fans think of the films, you left the story to just meander like I am right now. It's not that I was disappointed by this, guys. It's because, to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the Matrix films. I do remember how much of an impact they made. I absolutely loved the first two films. I just couldn't get past. I had seen Dark City and I sat there watching the Matrix like, wait a minute. But that said, I do appreciate everything these films have done. But I really wanted just to see a fun sci-fi action flick with maybe a few smart moments of dialogue here and there. They try so hard to philosophize with this movie that it just sounds like a bunch of as South Park put it, a bunch of intellectuals standing in a room smelling their own farts. You're high on your own nonsense, and the film gets bogged down in that. And this is where Matrix Resurrections fails. So I just wish that they had just given us a straightforward action movie a la Matrix 1. I could have gotten behind that. As for this, Matrix Resurrection gets a 5 out of 10. And will there be another? I have no idea. But if we do get another, to be quite blunt, I would like to see it handled by someone else. Just because I feel like this is way too much of a single-minded vision, as opposed to tapping into all of the energy and all of the passion that fans have put into this as well. You know, your fans love these movies for more than just the philosophy and the, oh, let's be super, super smart and super, super meta, that kind of thing. There's more to it than that. And that's it, guys. Whew, felt like I was preaching there for a second. If you like this review, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button. If you loved this movie, let me know why. Let me know what about it really works for you. And maybe I'll see it with different eyes. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, you can click on my face when it pops up right about there. And to check out past reviews, you can do that right along this way. So until the next one, guys. Bye-bye.